Welcome to Insight with Moonshadow. I am Moonshadow, an integrative holistic therapist, intuitive shaman, interfaith minister, and chief evangelist with over 30 years of experience in the U.S. as well as internationally. Now, my intention here is to help you connect with a better you, your inner you, your higher you, and connect you to the world around you, and to make you the best you can possibly be. So, tips, tricks, life hacks, interesting little tidbits, moon sights on the way, and lessons, stories, jokes, you name it. We have good conversation here on Insight with Moonshadow. So now, cue! And it's a new shift. It's a new shift, new year, new shift for sure. So now, with the topic today, is, thank you, Q. Q, and there are a lot of you, I have to say, were influential right from the get-go on. I've learned a lot from you, and a lot of your suggestions and tidbits I've actually utilized in getting the show on the ground, off the ground and into the air and on the air. So I really appreciate all of you for your tips, your suggestions, your views on it, because I'll tell you, it's not just about me. This is a team thing. So even though it's just me being here in the broadcast, there are people in the background that have been very, very helpful, that have been uber, and I'll have to do shout outs, but uber helpful and supportive. And I value and I love and respect all of you for being here on Insight with Moonshadow, even in the background, for now 49 episodes. It'll be coming up to a year. So I really super appreciate it, because you guys rock and you guys are awesome. So now, the topic today is about a new year, a new you. So now, we went through last episode about the big trifecta, the big supermoon, super shift trifecta. So that was all about how you can gain your personal power through the super moons, as well as the shift in energy. Also, for you to be shifting over from, in the last 3 months, October through December, and that trifecta of the supermoons, the big, huge, incredibly powerful supermoons. Now we're looking at bringing in the new things, starting the year fresh. You have an opportunity, okay? You have an opportunity right now to be able to do things a little differently, to reboot, restart, refresh who you are. Now, granted, we're all hardwired a certain way, right? We're all hardwired a certain way where our beliefs are how we tick, and with those things, our nature is a little bit harder to change. And you don't necessarily need to change your nature, necessarily, okay? However, how you cope with things and how you do things, just in today alone, running this broadcast a little later and having technical glitches the past couple of shows and things like that, sweating it and letting it affect you in such a way where it's all horrible, and becoming pessimistic, that would have just made it worse. Then I would have been defeated a lot quicker. So sometimes you have to kind of look past that and say, you know what? I am better than this. I am bigger than this. I am stronger than this. I am more resilient than this. This is not something that's going to keep me down. And I'll tell you, in working with people for over 30 years, and I'm talking people, I'm going to use the word normal, but I'm saying able-bodied people, as well as people in wheelchairs, people within the spectrum, mentally challenged, physically challenged, addicts, you name it. In working with them, one great lesson I've learned from them was resiliency, being a survivalist, being someone that's a survivor, someone that's a doer, someone that does not let these things hold you down. There's also an old saying, that I've utilized quite often. And I'm going to try to. I have to try to remember it now. Let me see if I can remember it while I'm here. Do 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 do. There we go. So what it is, this saying, it's an old saying, and the saying is noli notis primiteri decideri. Okay, so noli notis primiteri decideri, which means basically it means don't let the bastards get you down. So there you go. And that's something that I've always utilized very much in my life, because unfortunately when you're unique and very, very different, people want to single you out. People want to step on you. People want to be a naysayer. People want to not support you. People want to, if they don't have the courage to do something or go above or be the cream of the crop or push forward, they want to judge and they want to criticize and they want to say, oh, well, since I would never do it, I'm not going to help. I'm not going to help support someone else that would want to do it. So if I would never run a marathon, oh, you'll never do a marathon. You can't make it through a marathon. You're not healthy enough. You're too big. You're too this. Or you're too that. You know. But this is the part. As much as we are hardwired a certain way, there are things that we can do to make changes. So new year, new you. This is coming up 2017. So there's so much you could do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few tips, a few little moon hacks, if you will, some moon sites, and some things that you could do to bring in the new you, as opposed to dealing with the old you all over again, letting people step on you or letting you step on yourself, because as you know, you yourself can be your biggest critic. I know this from personal experience. It happens so easily. Going against your own, saying, oh, it's too much work, or I can't do it, or it's too much. It's too overwhelming. And here's a little story. I'll start off with this. I read this about this person, this one guy. He wanted to be a martial artist. He wanted to be a martial artist so bad. It was crazy. He was young. He was a kid. And he went outside and played. He was playing outside in the driveway. He had gotten into his parents' vehicle. Somehow, some way, he had shifted it into neutral, and somehow found a way, as crazy as the universe is, to get himself run over. So he ran himself over with this car, rolling back on the driveway, and he was paralyzed from the waist down. Now, this kid was a very active kid. He wanted to be a martial artist really, really badly, and now he's in a wheelchair. Now, most of us would think, well, story's over. You'll never be a martial artist now. You're in a wheelchair. Well, guess what happens? He didn't want to take no for an answer. So what he did was he started seeing different masters and different masters of martial arts, and he went to quite a few, and most of them he got the same answer. Well, I'd be glad to teach you, but you're in a wheelchair. A lot of this is about kicking and physicality and all this. So I can't teach you because you're in a wheelchair. You don't have use of your legs. So he heard a lot of that from a few people. So not to be let down and not to be put down, he went to someone else. Now this last person he went to, he looked at him and he really was just like, hey, I really want to learn. And this master, he looked at him and said, Now I'm paraphrasing, mind you, because this is quite a while ago I read the story. But he said, I don't know what I can do to teach you. He goes, but you have it in your heart to want to learn, and I will do my best to teach you. So, fast forward, he taught him. And what he taught him was, he taught him how to utilize that wheelchair as an extension of his legs. So, of course, when you're in a wheelchair and you lose the use of one thing, other things get heightened, other things get enhanced, right? So if you go blind, your hearing increases. If you go deaf, your sight and hearing and your sense of smell increases. So all of those things happen. So of course, his upper body had to overcompensate for the lack of use of his lower body. So he was able to move the wheelchair quite a bit. Sure enough, he gets he goes into training, into martial arts. Now, interesting, the end of the story. This person has his own dojo, and he is a black belt. The difference is he utilizes the wheelchair as his legs, so it's a little different. Hey, Debbie. So even though he's in a wheelchair, he's using the wheelchair to do throws and that kind of thing. So he's literally using the wheelchair as if those are legs. Now he can't kick, in the same way as traditionally, but he has his own dojo. So that taught me quite a bit. That taught me that I've got both my arms and both my legs. I can see through both my eyes. I can hear with both my ears. That means I could do a lot more. When you have someone that obviously has a major challenge, for you to be able to outgo and outdo that challenge and say, you know what, I'm better than that, I'm bigger than that, I'm stronger than that, and you're not going to stop me. You're not going to limit me. Now, if any of you have known me longer than a few minutes, and I know you hear me say that often, you know I'm not the type of person to be told what to do. Kind of anti-authority. Got a problem with authority. Yeah, I do. I'm not going to lie. However, but the point is, all of us can stand to be a little more unlimited, or push yourself to be a little more unlimited. Like you said, noli notis, primateri tere tereri. Don't let the bastards get you down. So now, with the topic today, New Year, New You. We released a lot of things in the last episode. We looked at a lot of moon sites and a lot of different moon hacks and tips to get you going, to releasing a lot of the old, getting where the things aren't working for you. Move on with things that were no longer gathering fruit. Because no different than Mother Earth, she goes into a restful state. The leaves come down from the trees. All the plants go into a hibernated state. Some plants come back, some plants don't. But the whole thing is, it's all death and rebirth. It's all change. And we're all dealing with this. Change is inevitable. Change is inevitable. It's just an inevitable thing. So now, this is the great part of the new year. Some people start off with doing a New Year's resolution. I'm going to say screw that. Yes, you heard me. I said screw that. No New Year's resolution. However, you can do an anti-resolution, or I call an anti-resolution. You can go ahead and say, you know what? I'm not going to gain any more weight. So instead of saying I'm going to lose 25 pounds, which is unreasonable, or an unreasonable demand upon yourself and your life, because you know whether you can or cannot do it, ultimately, have an anti-resolution. So instead, do something that you know you can achieve, even if it's a baby step. Right? So I've changed it to, I'm not going to gain anymore. I'm not going to get any unhealthier than I am now. What does that mean? That means I'm just changing. I'm flipping it on its head to say, look, I'm not going to get any worse than I am right now. I'm going to keep striving for better. I'm going to keep moving towards better, moving towards improvement. Keep on getting out of my own way. Try to move towards a positive in life. Not let life let me become too jaded, too bitter, or too pessimistic. So that's my anti-resolution. So I'm resolute in knowing I'm not going to be resolute in something that isn't going to happen or something I can't manage. Make $1 million in 2 months. Really? God bless you if you can. But that's kind of high. Now, a pay increase in the next new year. Yes. More abundance coming in the next new year. Absolutely. That's a different thing. So one of the first things that I suggest in a new year, is this. Do something out of your comfort zone. Do something completely out of your comfort zone. If you've only listened to a certain type of music and nothing else, go ahead and bite the bullet and try something different. Listen to something else. Open your mind. Open your heart. Open yourself to bigger and better things. Try something new that you haven't tried before. Food. Try a new experience. Now, some people, they'll go off, they'll go off and go, you know what? I've never gone bungee jumping, so I'm going to do bungee jumping. Well, you could do that. Or I've never gone skydiving, so I'm going to go skydiving. You could do that too. But again, do something that's out of your comfort zone, however that is. Some of us, I mean us universally, some of us are stuck in a box or stuck in a hole or stuck in a little space. And that space is so comfortable, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, whether it's positive or negative, we're stuck in that space. That little itty-bitty space, we're stuck in it. The devil we know, the space we know, the people we know. We don't talk to anybody new. We don't do anything new. So one major tip is do something that's out of your comfort zone. Try something new. Try a different way coming home when you come home from work, or try to be a little more active if you've been inactive and sedentary. Watch something that you haven't watched before. You can start small. You don't have to go into something huge. You don't have to do this big, huge, monumental change. A little change. All you need is a little pebble to make that ripple. A little pebble. Tiny. The tiniest little thought can be positive or negative. It could change the world. It could ruin the plot. So that's important. Now, Catherine's saying change is the only constant in the universe, and I agree. Anna's saying pushing myself on that one a bit at a time. And I will say, I've seen Anna, she has adapted quite a bit because I know where her comfort zones are, and her comfort zones are because of a lot of conversation. And Nancy's saying, like, moving across country. And just a little tidbit. Having to move, even if it's for a few months, moving across country for work or not work, that's still a massive change. Because that uproots your norm. That changes your rhythm. You could make it great, you can make it not great. You can do the best of it, with what you can, and you can make it horrible. It's your experience, but it's all about coping. It's all about how you cope with it. So my suggestion is get out of your comfort zone, but just remember that change is inevitable. So no matter how uncomfortable or how bad you feel right now, right here, right this moment, it doesn't mean that you have to be uncomfortable the whole time, because that's going to change too. So that's one thing that you can use. Now, Chrissy is saying here, the storm here will subside in about an hour and 2 minutes. Yeah, so I tend to put people to sleep, but that's, I'm also a hypnotherapist, so that kind of That's a damper on things. Sorry, not sorry. But but one of the big things too about getting out of your own comfort zone is do something that scares the crap out of you. Do something that you normally wouldn't do. If you're someone that doesn't like spicy food, try spicy food. I suggest Indian food or Thai food. It's amazing. I know a couple of people that never tried sushi before. They're like, I don't know, sushi, raw fish, oh my God, oh, that's disgusting. And I said, you know what? I can't tell you what to do. Why don't you try it once? And then if you don't like it, then you know you don't like it. Then you know you don't like it. But how do you know you don't like something if you didn't try it? If you didn't do it? Just because it looks like you don't like it, it's not a done deal. It's not something where you think to yourself, oh, well, yeah, this is definitely, I'm not going to like it. Certain things I know I'm not going to like, for sure, for sure. But that's based on another experience, potentially, that's connected to that. But even then, I still try it. Because then I go, yeah, like, as an example, I do not like black licorice. I just don't. I just don't. I just don't. I tried it multiple times. If it's like a light, like I tried some liquor over Christmas. Um, it was a Portuguese liqueur from the continent, from the mainland, and it had a little of an anise taste. It wasn't like hardcore black licorice, but I still tried it anyway, and it wasn't that bad. So go figure. So what can you do, right? But I tried it, and it's not as bad as I thought. So instead of me going, I just don't like black licorice, so I'm all set. I gave it another shot, and it worked out. So try something new. Try something that's out of your comfort zone. Do something that scares you a bit. I'm nervous about heights, but you know what? I have done cliff diving. Why? Because nothing and no one is going to tell me what to do and what to be or how to be or be afraid or anything like that. So I did cliff diving, and I was scared. I was scared. I yelled profusely, but you know what? I still did it, and I may do that again. I may do it again. Now, one of the things that we don't do, another thing that we don't do in life, we take people that we love and care for granted. And I don't think it's intentional. I don't think it's an intentional thing. But we tend to take, life moves at such a frenetic pace. Sometimes you get to working a lot and you do that, and you miss out on the quality of what your life is. You miss out on the people that really matter to you, whether it be a handful of people or whether it be a lot of people. So the next tip for a new life, a new you, a new year, is spend time with people you care about. Spend time with people you care about and you love dearly. In this past year has been very, very hard. And I can say, quite a lot of us have experienced such a difficult year. But the thing is, one thing I personally can say is that I've connected with such amazing people, such supportive people, such caring, loving people. That made the difference. That truly, truly made the difference. That made all the difference in the world. Going back in time, I would think that I was alone with everything. I was alone dealing with everything. I was alone having to manage my own way. But in this past year, I've realized that you're not completely alone. And granted, yes, I have my soul, my soul council, my soul tribe. Yes, I've got, my own guidance. I have my own, my life protectors and guides and totems and all that as well. That I've never been alone, even when I was born. But to 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 have people that have your back in one way, shape, or form. I've received so many virtual hugs from people and people reaching out and or calling and saying, "Hey, you all right? You just popped into my head just a little bit ago." Or, "I saw you the other day and you didn't seem like you were on top of things. So you're okay." And yes, I will agree with Anna. 2006 was a big shit show for sure. However, I will say that I have realized what unconditional love even stronger than the past few years. I've learned it even more so this year. Time with the people who make your life better. You could learn from people that criticize you and knock you down. You could learn. There's a lesson there, by the way, even though it's uncomfortable. But in the grand scheme of things, spend time with people that uplift you. And I'm not saying it in an artificial way, because anyone that I care and love, I'm going to tell them, well, that was a little bit rough. You could have decided a little bit better, or that could have been a better decision, or you could have thought that thing through a little bit better, or whatever it may be. But it's coming out of love. It's not. It's tactful. It's loving. It's caring. It's not so much just, oh, wow, yeah, like a big huge judgment. So having support is incredibly important. So spend time with people who make your life better, make you feel good. And I'm not talking in an artificial way, but in a real way, in a warm your heart, open yourself up to knowing that things aren't going to be so bad kind of way. So that's one thing that's another thing you can utilize. So also too, coming up, New Year. Don't be so hard on yourself. We do this all the time. Like I said earlier, we are our worst critic, but we're our worst enemies too. We tend to put ourselves down quite a bit. You're too thin, you're too fat, your ears are too big, you're this, you're that, you know what I mean? You have too much gray, whatever. We tend to use our own self-judgment in harmful, in non-loving ways. So your inner bully, your inner critic, your inner asshole, if you will, has a way of also stopping you and putting you down. So sometimes know when to take a break, know when to utilize that self-care. Learn how to be more mindful and say, you know what, I just can't. I can't do one more thing. I'm going to take a nap. Or I'm going to have a tea. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to take a pause and stop, refresh my mind, and then come back to it again. Come back at this with fresh eyes and an open mind. Because this happens quite often. A lot of times if there has been an issue or a problem that's happened in my life, I'd be like, you know what? I'm so overwhelmed right now. I just have to stop and think for a second, or just not think. And I walk away, take my dog for a walk, sit out in my backyard and have a coffee or something. And Q is right now having tea. It's helping her calm down. Awesome, awesome. And I do suggest a good rooibos tea. It's South African tea. It's rooibos means red bush, and it is incredibly good, high in antioxidants, and it's amazing. And it tastes really good with honey or with sugar. I would suggest, if you're going to use sugar in the raw, and honey, a nice, whatever honey is your favorite, you can use that. So that's awesome stuff. Just a little moonsight for you guys. So yeah, so let yourself sleep in, or take a nap, or give yourself some self-care. If you have a nice deep super soaker tub, or you have a hot tub, do it. Utilize it. Go for a swim if you have the access to an inner pool, inner indoor pool or something. If work out, build up those endorphins. You could do it that way too. Exert yourself a little bit. Exercise. Get your blood pumping. Go for a run. All these things are important to change who you are and how you feel, because things aren't going to be so bad once the air is cleared. Okay. Now, also too, stagnancy isn't helpful. So if anything is stagnant, as we've spoken in the previous episode about getting rid of old things, of releasing old ideas, emotions, feelings, relationships, anything that you no longer need, get rid of it. If it's not doing any service, then it's time to let it go. You may miss people, you may miss things, but if it's for your highest good, it's for your highest good. What are you going to do? You can only wish and pray that things come back around where you can reunite with them. Maybe things will change. Maybe things get better, and you get to reconnect again, if it's meant to be. Yes, I love naked. Naked anything is good, but naked sugar is even better. And you can mix it up, but that's a whole different show. That's inside Moonshadow After Dark, or Moonshadow After Dark. But that being said, also don't overwork yourself. Sometimes if you overwork yourself, sometimes taking a day off is going to be I call them mental health days. Ariel, welcome. You can take a nice mental health day. A mental health day sometimes is the thing that's going to save you from going crazy. Right? I call it a mental health day. I was never one for calling into work. Blame it on my nationality, but part of what you can do too is, instead of calling in sick, you call in well. Well, I'm not coming in because I need a break. So sometimes you just need to take a break. So again, with self-care, it's also important. Sometimes it just is helpful to take a break. Take a pause, take a breath, just step away from things for a minute and just say, okay, how can I proceed with this situation? Or how can I do things better? Or how can I have thought of it a little differently, and do that? Big important thing. So yeah. Also too, being vulnerable. A lot of times people think that being vulnerable is a bad thing. Being open is a bad thing. Being vulnerable is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean ever. It never means weakness. Being vulnerable means that you are strong enough to know that you are going to come out to the other side. You're going to come out to the other side. And thank you for that, Anna. I believe in being honest, but also too, being tactful is important, because I've had some pretty tactless people in my life, and they just kind of shoot from the hip without thinking, no filter, and then it's like, whoa, wait a minute, that was a little harsh. So sometimes it's helpful to think about 5 seconds before something comes out of your mouth. Let me tell you. So now, out of your comfort zone, trying something new, more self-care is important. Become more active. Do something different that shake your life up a little bit. Try something new that you normally wouldn't try. That's important. Also, live life just because. Just because. Live life just because. Just because. Practice random acts of anything. Random acts of kindness. Random acts of, just do it. Just do it. Whether or not that person immediately that you did that random act to, whether they appreciate it or not, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like putting wonderful bits of abundance into your karmic or spiritual bank account. The more good you do, the more good comes back, because you're reflecting it back out from you to the universal mirror and back to you. Right? So that's important. So now, also, other things you can do as well. Like there are books, there are videos you can do, there are movies that you can do, something that will change your life. Things that influential things. Try and look at influential things. Motivate yourself. Find ways to motivate yourself from being potentially stuck and stagnant to moving past your limitation, past that challenge. Because if you do that, that also makes a big, huge difference in your life. There are a lot of times that I'll just try something new just because, just to shake things up. Now, again, I like that kind of movement. I like that kind of change. So it's a new experience. It's a new adventure to me. To some people, it's a little different, and that's okay. Adventure could be a world away. It could be around the corner. It could be a decision you make. It could be a new food you try. It could be a new book you read. It could be a lot of different things. Now, another thing that you could utilize for a new year, a new you, is you can go ahead and know when to work and know when to play. Introduce play into your life. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. Because as we get older, we become more childlike, believe it or not. Unless you're emotionally constipated, and then you don't. But the thing is, introduce play into your life. If you're around children, they have the most wonderful teachers to introduce play, because they know how to play. They know how to experience. They know how to be imaginative. They know how to be whimsical. They know that coyote medicine. They know the ability to make things different, because they're just so vibrant and full of life. Even if they borrow people's kids, do so. Take them out. Take them to a park. All that will make a huge difference too. That changes up your energy. That will recharge your batteries, recharge who you are, and make you better, more enhanced, more alive. So that's another thing you can do. Now, also too, is whether or not, a lot of times we hear people say things and we don't always necessarily listen to what they have to say. So now we've been giving 2 years to listen and 1 mouth to speak, right? So give someone the courtesy to listen to what they have to say. Give them the ability to kind of flesh out their thought, because there may be a little tidbit or lesson. So you want to give people, they may not mean, and I'll tell you, even in my broadcasts, there are a couple of times on my broadcasts where I thought I had a troll. What actually wasn't a troll, just someone that was very interested, and they wanted to know. They were putting me in position to put my money where my mouth was, or my experience where my mouth was. And they ended up being really big people. They ended up being subscribers. I ended up having personal conversations with them, and they were actually really, really cool people. So don't snap judge. Sometimes you have to give people the benefit of the doubt a little bit. So there's that aspect as well. Yes. And Chrissy says, I'm not a troll. I'm Danish. Yes. There are some things I could say aloud that Chrissy will type, and sometimes there are things I cannot. Because I try to keep this PG-13 the best I can. So sometimes, you can go, sometimes it's like, oh, I want to make sure that people under the age of 17 can listen to my broadcast and not, the parents go, what are you listening to? Oh my God. So yeah, but so give people a shot because they may have a lesson for you. They may have a message without them even knowing. They may have a message from your higher self or your guardian angels or your life protectors or your spirit guides for you. Your spirit guides may be speaking through them. So you never know. You never know. There are messages and omens and lessons everywhere. I don't know. It sounds like you're in constant school. It's like you're constantly learning. And guess what? I just have one word for you. Yes. It's constant learning. Whether you like it or not, you're in school. Whether you're in a formal school or not, you're always learning. It's always there. The opportunity, the experiences are always there. You are constantly being bombarded with a lesson. Now, if you choose to have open eyes and open ears and an open heart to listen and to learn, then you're going to be better off. If you want to be closed off and emotionally and spiritually constipated, well, then you know what? Then I don't know what to tell you. Then things are going to be difficult. Things are going to be a little harder for you. The learning curve is going to be different, right? Yes. And Chrissy's saying here, message from the dark side there is. Listen, you must. Yeah, that's my Yoda. And I love Yoda. Yoda freaking rocks. Yoda, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere deep inside of my mind I feel like Yoda is a spirit guide, honestly, because it's kind of funny. But it's true, and we are part of those. We are part of the light and the dark, and it's all about finding that balance and working the best and doing the best you can to make the best you possibly can for you and people around you. Henceforth, why I've got Inside Moonshadow. But another thing that you could do is do something healthy. Now, healthy does not necessarily mean it tastes bad or it feels horrible or anything like that. You can do something that's healthy that you like, food that's good, or exercise that fits to who you are. You can do that. It's not difficult. Finding it is a little bit of the hard part. But once you get through that adventure and you find what you really like, then you can really enjoy it. I like kettlebells and Tai Chi. On occasion, I'll do Tibetan yoga. I should do that more often. But it's all of that. It fits. If you're not going to do it as a lifestyle, then it's going to be harder for you. So think or do something that's healthy for you, but something that you can bring in to your life, right? So you want to do that. So that's important. Now, this is another tip that I have to say is a big, huge part. Big, 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 big thing you want to do. Go somewhere you never thought you'd go. Challenge yourself to go somewhere you've never been and never would even think about going. I went to a third world country. I went to South Africa. I've traveled a bit and loved it. And welcome, June, by the way. June saying, I am always constipated, but not spiritually. Well, let's hope that I'm wishing you good juju so you're not constipated anymore, because no one loves that. No one loves being constipated. But go somewhere you've never gone before. I left a part of me in South Africa. and I brought a part with me. And the culture, the people, the energy was just amazing. So I adopted it, no different than that country. It feels like it adopted me. So try something new. You know, I've been to the UK, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved to travel. And soon enough, looking to go out west. So we're looking forward to doing that as well, because I really need to change geography, even if it's for a couple of weeks. It'd be phenomenal. So go somewhere you've never been. You may sound silly trying a different language, but try it. What's the worst that can happen? It's temporary. It's temporary. Okay? Another big thing, another big moon site here is don't sweat the small stuff, because most of the time it's not huge. You know, unless it's life or death, it's very rarely life or death. So it's not this too shall pass, right? So don't sweat things to the point where, like, even today with technical glitches and all that, I still have my show. My show's still happening. How did it happen? With me taking a breath, taking a pause, taking a minute, calling a tech, which has already helped me once before, right before Christmas, the day before Christmas, mind you, and that helped me again, and this is why I'm here. But I took a pause and I took a breath and I said, okay, what are my alternatives? I can do a Facebook Live. I could edit it and throw that on YouTube. I can get that stuff done. That's fine. But it's about not sweating it. So you got to be watchful of that. Now, of course, when you set, we mentioned earlier setting goals for yourself, but set goals you can manage. And if you do that, then you're going to feel accomplished. So you move into the next goal. You build another goal. Say, well, that wasn't so bad. But let's do something else. Let's get a little further. Let's up the ante a little bit. Let's challenge me a little more. So instead of like saying, oh, I want to run a marathon, well, how about a walkathon first? And go into training, and then build and build and build and build until your walk becomes a jog becomes a run. Try that. But do something that challenges you. Now, also too, a lot of times people, they tend to they tend to work in places they don't like working. It's never a good time. And I've had jobs I've loved, and I've had jobs I wasn't so crazy about. There's a learning lesson in all of that. There's sometimes hard lessons, sometimes easy lessons. But the thing is, always try to find something that you enjoy. Instead of working for a living, try playing for a living. And what I mean by that is, if you're doing something you love, it's really not so much work. It's more play. It's more something enjoyable. So it's something else that you can also utilize. So if it's something that's not working for you, find a replacement and get out. One particular place I worked for was like a sinking ship, and I left. I had no choice. And granted, even though it was a hardship for me to leave, it was also a burden off my shoulders. It was also a big weight off of me. It was a different type of stress. But the person that came out at the other end of that tunnel was a lot brighter and shinier than if I stayed there. So that's important, especially if you absorb energy. Like, I'm an empath, so there are a lot of empathic people that absorb energy, and then you get affected, and before you know it, you're dragging yourself down, and then before you know it, you're tired. And then if you're tired, you let dis-ease come in, and then you can physically get sick. I don't want any of you to be physically ill. So sometimes you have to be watchful of the energy that's coming in, creeping into your periphery, into your spirit, into your body. Be aware of that. So that's really, really, really important. So now, also, another big tip too, and you may have to see the replay because I know I'm throwing a lot of tips your way, a lot of information your way. But this is all for you to be a better you and to help you. Now, my friend Q would say these are Q tips, these are moon sites for me, or moon hacks, or moon tips, or however you want to call it. But they're all useful. So it's really, 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 really good that you can take, even if you take 1% of them or two out of the million things that I'm suggesting, you can go ahead and do it. It's going to make you a better you. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee it's going to make you feel better, and you're going to be a better person coming into 2017. You can take that to the bank. Now, we know that stress tends to be a really horrible thing. Try not to let yourself stress out. Try to vent it or move it in a different way. Change that stress or change that negative energy into a positive. Flip that frown upside down, or try to utilize that energy in a way. Because think about it. I can go ahead and put fuel in a tank that's meant to run over things and kill people, right? Or I can use that same fuel to put it in a vehicle, a dune buggy, so I can go cruising, by the beach, or go four-wheeling and having a good time. Utilize the importance of what you are fueling your life with. So stress, turn that stress into a motivator. Change that stress, instead of something that's going to debilitate you, change it to something that's going to motivate you, something that's going to push you to better, move you to more. That's important. Now, another thing that I can honestly say that when I was, this is kind of interesting too, because in my senior yearbook, my senior quote, my blurb was, "Don't take life too seriously; you'll never make it out alive." This is another moon site for you. Is look at the comical in things, because sometimes things can be so redonkulous. What are the odds? Sometimes things can be so ridiculous and redonkulous. It's like you go, oh, how could have this happened? Right? So don't take things too seriously, because life can already be too stressful and too serious anyway. So try to see things from the coyote side, or the comical side, or channel your inner kid. Challenge your channel your inner child and see, how, if I was 7, how would I view this situation? Right. Now, Chrissy is saying, I usually say, don't take yourself too seriously. No one else does. I like that. Let me take that with me. But that's important. That's important. And again, a lot of these things are just, even though common sense, as I've been told before, common sense ain't common, and it isn't common, obviously, but you can make it common the best you can. Now, June's saying here, I'm going to be pushing hard to breathe in 2017. I always have give myself away if I do something wrong, because, oh yeah, so you get tough on yourself, and it's not easy to be tough. It's super easy to let the inner critic or the inner bully get to you. So don't let it. New changes there, June. New changes. Past that. Do something else. Now, this is a big one. This is a big one. Forgive. There are people that have done things, situations that were out of your control, things that happen that probably make you feel really upset, emotional, aggravated, pissed off, frustrated, overwhelmed, all that. It is not easy to forgive. Now, this one's a hard one. I will, I stand by that. This is not an easy one. When you go through life and you get stepped on or you get kicked when you're down, it is so uber hard to forgive. But a lot of times, people don't even realize. They don't even realize how bad they're hitting you or how strongly they're saying what they're saying. Some people don't think thoroughly with what they do or say. So forgive. It's a hard one. This is something where, this is also part of like the releasing, like we'd spoken in the last episode. But forgive. It's a new year, new time. Fresh slate. Try to make something new again. Try to make do the best you can with what you have, and make it better. You know, polish it up, and you'd be amazed what can happen. Sometimes old friendships can move. Old connections can enhance or become they can become healed. A lot of things can happen. So forgive. I'm a big fan of the bucket list. The bucket list is a fun thing to do. There are many things still on my bucket list, and I intend to make them happen. So have a bucket list, whether it's a dozen things or it's 1,000 things. You don't have to necessarily fulfill your full bucket list. That's not terribly important. It's all about thinking out of the box or thinking out of your norm, right? So think about things. What would I love to do? I'd love to ride an elephant. That happens to be one of mine. I've never ridden an elephant or a camel. And I think that'd be amazeballs to do. I would love to do that. Now, I was in Africa, so I could have and should have done it then. But you know what? I'm going to make it a point to do that. I'm going to make it a point to go back out in nature and potentially ride an elephant. Right? Yeah. Now, I'm sure that, now Chrissy has a different list other than bucket. Okay? We're not going to say this since we're keeping this PG, but I have that list too, because sometimes there's nothing else you can do about the situation. So that's when you put it onto that list, and I'll leave it to your imagination to figure out what that list is called. So we'll leave it at that with that particular one. So let's see here. Right, let's see here. Well, it looks like we're having a little bit issue on the Facebook Live thing, so hopefully that reconnects due to the Wi-Fi. But so something else that you can utilize as well, and you can do. It's really all about trying some new things. This is like really, really important. Trying some new things, explore, be playful, do more than what you normally would have done. Something that you wouldn't have technically would have done earlier or sooner, do it up. Because the worst thing can happen is you don't like it, and then you move forward and you do something different. So that's an important thing. Now, another thing that's also a really good moon site as well is for you not. Oh, welcome back, everybody. Another thing that you can potentially do is to treat yourself. A lot of times don't give us we don't give us the love that we need, right? So this is more than just self-care. This is about giving yourself to yourself. So if there's something that you've really been wanting, maybe, a dessert in one of your favorite restaurants or things like that, do it, try it. And again, everything in moderation. You're not going crazy. You're not going crazy with it. And I'm glad I'm back on Facebook Live. Welcome back, everybody. YouTube was still happening. So I'm glad that I'm going to have some broadcast to be able to get going and started and happening and all that. I can only wish that I could have connected my phone to my Ethernet, because then that would be amazing, wouldn't it? So now, also too, another tip, new year, new you, is give of yourself to a cause or a movement or a passion of yours. You do not have to be a one percenter or an A-lister. You do not have to be someone that's a billionaire. You do not have to be someone that's a big, huge influencer to do something. You don't have to be that. I have seen from, like this story, I think it's Amy's or Annie's Lemonade, right? I think it was Amy's or Annie's Lemonade. I think it was Amy's, but I could be wrong. But it was a little girl started her own little charity, and she was selling lemonade, and now it's all over. It became viral. So thinking about that, start your own. You can volunteer. You can do it for, whether it be a soup kitchen. You could do it with the holidays. A lot of people, they'll, for like Thanksgiving and that, they will give of themselves to the church, you know. But start something. Even if you affect one person, even if you affect one person, I'm going to say this again. Even if you make a change or affect one person positively, you've already done something amazing. You've already done something amazing. One person. One minor miracle. One minor thing. You've already made something. Now, does it have to be a big, huge thing? No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be a big, huge thing. One tiny decision can make the world a difference to someone. Now, I've actually taken the jacket off my body and given it to someone else because I knew that they needed it more than me. And I'm not saying that to have any kind of, oh, you're awesome. No, it's not about that. It's about the fact that someone needed something that I could do right then and there. So volunteer, championing a cause. If you love animals, you know bring call up a shelter and say, hey, what kind of food do you feed your animals? I'd like to donate some food, or I'd like to donate pet toys or something. You don't necessarily have to physically volunteer. There's always something that you could utilize, and you can give of yourself, energy of some sort, for you to make something happen. We have the ability, and we're going to come up to a close in the broadcast, but all of us have the ability of making things happen. All of us have the ability to be better than who we are. All of us have the ability to make or break someone. All of us have the ability to love or hurt someone. All of us have the ability to be the light or to be the dark. All of us. You could be living in the middle of nowhere in a hometown of 10, and you could still do something kind to someone else or for someone else. Something to think about. Now, June's saying, my husband has no idea the things that I've done for others, human or animal, because I don't talk about it. And that's another thing, too. You don't necessarily need a ticker tape parade. You don't necessarily need to announce it in the town paper. You don't have to do that. You know what? It's not important. Some people do that. You know, every year, whether I'm making money or not, I try to give to charity. I try to volunteer. I try to do something. And most of the time, and I want to say 99% of the time, it's anonymous. I've donated vehicles for the deaf and the blind because they auction them off or they'll part them out and then the money goes to the charity. And I know that it does go to the charity, not administration and fees. It doesn't get misappropriated. But the thing is, you have that belief and that abundance to do that. Now, I've been given some of the biggest, most important, prominent, powerful things I've ever been given were from people that didn't have it. Believe it or not. So, if they could find it within themselves to give something that they don't have a lot of, but they share it with you, that is awesome. So we have the ability, and we have the strength, and we have the spirit, and we have the spark, and we have the soul to make change, to do things. And it's up to you whether you choose to be that pebble or that stone that lands in that pond to cause the ripple or not. You could just sit there and watch the ripple, and that's okay. I'm not going to judge you for it. All I'm saying is, if you have it in you to be kind just because, then do it. I challenge you to do it. It's a beautiful thing. And I can guarantee the return, the karmic return, the feeling that you get is just immeasurable. It's just immeasurable. So honestly, 2016 wasn't easy. It was hard. There were a lot of good and a lot of bad, a lot of happy and a lot of sad type stuff, a lot of new things that happened and a lot of beginnings and a lot of endings. So many things have happened in the past year. We have the choice now to make it different. We have the choice. So now, here comes 2017. Challenge yourself. It's a new year. It's a new you. You're going to polish off. You're going to try to, sand off some of the rust and polish yourself off. Brush the dust off your ass from falling down so many damn times and get back up and keep getting up. Make that decision to keep getting up. Keep focusing. Keep on moving forward. Because you are better than your illness. You are better than your limitations. You are better than where you live. You are better than the toughest person in your family. You are better than that. And for you, you have to believe it. I can tell you this all day long, till I'm blue in the face. But guess what? Unless you believe it, It's got to go in here and out there. But I know better because I know for a fact there are a few people, there are a few of you that are in this broadcast that I have had personal conversations and personal connections with you where I know your strength. I know your ability. I know that you have the oomph to do what you need to get done. Hey, Joe, welcome. So ultimately, with that being said, be the best you can. It's so important. It's so incredibly important. So I'm going to close out the broadcast. I think it's been over an hour, but it's important. It's a new year. It's a new year coming up. We've got a few days. Make it an awesome one. Make those changes. Don't be fearful. Don't be scared. Do it. Just kick it in the ass and move forward. Just do it. If you haven't thought about it, think about it. I challenge you to think about it. This is why I do it. You know, it's important. So I'm going to close up the broadcast, but I want to thank all of you for spending time with me here on the show. You know, without you, Insight with Moonshadow wouldn't be, because it's all about the live interaction. It's all about the conversation. It's all about the lessons. It's all about the guidance. It's all about all these things that makes me do what I do. So you inspire me to keep doing this, even with technical glitches like as I had today. I was still here, and you're still here, and I thank you, and I love you guys for it. So thank you for that support. You guys are awesome, all of you. So if you feel guided to want us to connect more so, you could connect, support, and connect with me on many different parts of my social platforms. I'm pretty much everywhere. We can also check me out on Phoenix Rising, healingarts.com, or moonphoenixrising.com. And also, too, I am coming up to, I think I need 20 people or 22 people left to get that static URL for YouTube. So please hop on YouTube, find Insight with Moonshadow, and subscribe. I really, 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 really super would totally appreciate that. So that way, instead of a URL having a bunch of numbers at the end of it, you would actually see youtube.com/insight with Moonshadow. So it's been almost a year in the making, and I hope to, before the anniversary, I hope to have my 100th. So please, please, please subscribe and follow me. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, also Pinterest, Facebook. I have a closed group on Facebook. If you're one of those people that wants to do good out there, you're welcome to join the group, as well as Spirit of Ubuntu. All of that you'll find on my website, as well as knowing about my services, everything that I do there. So feel free to pop on the site, connect, guide, subscribe, follow, say hi, all of those things. Really appreciate it. Hey, neighbor. Got Mary Jo in the room as well. So, as I say, I get 2 more? Yes! Thank you so much, Q. And tell your friends. You know, if there's anything that you've learned from me, and if you enjoy it, you know, tell your friends. Have them subscribe. Have them come in. And for the new people that came in, thank you. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you coming in and popping in and saying hi. I hope your holidays have been phenomenal. I hope the new year is a prosperous, abundant, incredibly amazing year for you. So make your life ridiculously amazing from this point forward. Okay? So important to do so. So as I say every week, be strong, be amazing, be you. See you guys next week. God bless. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And happy Festivus for all of us. So, see you guys soon.